Your E, the top E's.
Kind of tricky with the drop E doing.
So that one could be dedicated to our brothers on Mauna Kea.
Brothers and sisters.
You know, there's always this battle to preserve versus the ever expanding growth on these islands.
Yeah.
And development for economic reasons. And I guess you have to be understanding of both sides, but there's a level of respect, I think, that needs to be given for the native people of the island.
Yeah, for sure.
Sometimes I think people forget that there are Native Hawaiians still in Hawaii.
Of course.
In Hawaii, I should say.
And that there's certain areas that are sacred. But that was part of, I guess, a set you guys are working on for your Asian tour.
Yeah, we're working all the bugs out, but
is it gonna be all guitar uke, or is there some uke?
I think there's gonna be a part of
there's gonna be some less, uke duets in there, but
So Corey was playing the Pono Singolo, and we've been selling those. And that particular one is available too.
That's just stained acacia, right? It's not mango.
No, it's acacia.
Did I say mango?
No. You didn't say mango. I had mistaken it for mango.
It's acacia, of course.
Damn.
They look quite different.
That Kanye
Corey,
thing.
come
I'm
on.
sorry.
How long you been doing this?
Only 12 years.
All right, so today we have with us, it's not a guest, he's here every day. He's just part of the team, but this is his first time. So, Billy, if we can get you to pull that, you want your mic. Billy's been with us for a few years now, and he's running the setup department with Joel, and we were going to have both of them, talk to us today a little bit more about setup, and Joel had an emergency, so it's just Billy, but thanks for hanging out with us tonight, Billy, and
Honored.
Talk about how you started working on instruments.
Yeah, well, my dad played the mandolin, the guitar, and the violin, and so I always had music in my life growing up. I started working for Paul Reed Smith guitars in the early 80s.
Ooh,
And I was
legendary.
visiting my family in Maryland, and my dad told me about Paul Reed Smith. He said, "You should go check out this guy. He builds guitars, and you're into music." So I went over there and got hired, started working in their electronics department, making pickups and wiring harnesses, and gradually just learned to build guitars just by working there. From there, I went to a large retail store, Chuck Levin's in Washington, D.C., and ran their repair department. Worked there for about 9 years, and then I moved to Taylor Guitars in California. And all of these were really great learning experiences for me. And I'm grateful to all the people I worked with and worked for, and all the knowledge that I gained. From Paul Reed's, from Taylor Guitars, I went to the Blue Guitar, which is a boutique music store carrying high-end guitars, and we did high-end repairs there.
Nice.
And I ran the repair department there for 10 years.
How much do their average guitars go for? I seen them at NAB. They were.
No, Blue Guitar carried up, like, was it? They carried Callings and Froggy Bottom.
Is
and
it
all
just a
these.
shop that carries
Yeah.
high end?
Dealer.
Oh,
Yeah, it was very boutique. We
Oh,
carried very
okay.
expensive high-end amps.
Actually, they
and
carried
guitars.
Colau too.
Colau, McPherson,
Mhm.
Martin.
They're like the guitar version of us.
Okay.
So working at the Blue Guitar, I came across all sorts of instruments, stringed instruments, from harps, dulcimers, mandolins, of course ukuleles.
Yeah.
I repaired a lot of old kamakas. So that was really a lot of fun, very interesting work.
It's like, I was thinking about it, and it's like, there's like those people that like have been working on nothing but Volkswagens for the last 20 years or something. If you have a Volkswagen, it's like, oh, that's the guy. Like, you don't want just anybody working on your instrument. You want the guy that's been doing it and seen thousands of them. And to me, that's what you and Joel are there. You guys, and I just did a video day before yesterday with Joel where he was talking about how he gets to work next to you and has learned a lot from you. I mean, over all these years, you must have picked up so many things that are like second nature at this point.
Yeah, we all share information, and everyone that I've worked with or worked for, I've gained immense knowledge from them.
So you went from repairing or wiring pickups, repairing, and then building, and back to repairing and selling, and then
And
back
now
to
repairing again.
Gosh, it would have been super cool if you had that. If you brought your guitar that you built.
Oh yeah.
But
That's a really good guitar.
do you prefer building over repairing, or vice versa?
I really prefer repairing
Yeah?
because I'm able to bring an instrument that may be good and able to make it better
Right.
for the player. And also, a lot of people have old instruments that they cherish, and we're able to save those instruments for them so that they can pass them on to their children
Right. Restoration.
And that's very gratifying to be able to do that and keep that instrument alive for generations.
Yep. That's super cool. For those
Yeah.
who are not used to, I guess, a professional setup, it's kind of like taking your car and giving it to Pimp My Ride. You know, it's like your car
Put a
starts.
microwave
Oh man, I
in
got
it. You
these
like
problems. My Windows doesn't work. It barely rolls down. My AC. You take it into the shop, and then
Yeah.
a week later, you're like, "That's my car.
It's like they were a little overboard, but
That's
it was
my
funny.
uke. That's my uke now. I didn't have a pickup. It has a
Yeah, you
pickup.
like fish tanks? We're gonna put a fish tank in your ukulele.
Yeah, we got to put a TV in the side port.
That's a good analogy, Zach. I've been riding motorcycles my whole life, and when I purchase a new motorcycle, I immediately take it to my mechanic, who is a racer himself,
Uh-huh.
and he knows bikes inside out. And I get him to set it up for me for my riding style and my weight.
Right.
And it's the same with the ukulele. You can purchase a ukulele, take it off the wall, take it home and play it. But to have it adjusted and set up
Right.
for you,
Yeah.
it makes it such a better playing experience.
Yep.
And that's what we do here. And we try to give the customer the best experience that we can.
For sure.
Yeah, you know, after owning this business for 15 years, I still can't afford a house in Hawaii. Hopefully one day. But I can afford to spend a couple $100,000 every year to have a great setup team and make sure that every instrument that we send out to you guys is as good as it possibly can be. And you know, I'm eternally humbled by life. I'm gonna forever be apologizing for my mistakes. So everything that we say is with the caveat that we are human, that we will always be fallible, but that this effort and high expertise and experience that we have is truly beneficial and maybe not even fully appreciated on the other side because they can't feel it before and after and see it before and after, but we do.
Did you guys make that section yourselves?
I came up with it yesterday in the
Oh,
shop.
I was like, let's go.
Because it's like, you don't want to just go,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, that's why. It's like,
kind of go back to the back in the beginning, you know how we started off real slow, like kind of just flowy. And
Yeah,
then
yeah.
I won't really shred, I'm just going to kind of build it up. And then when you come in, then the rhythm will change.
okay. Okay, let's try that. So. We should just start off like that, yeah? Like a...
The way I approach every instrument that I set up as if it were my instrument and how I would want it to play and feel. And I'm pretty picky.
Right, and you show me things, and you would be like, I wouldn't be happy with this, and when I, and I'm like, huh, but it wouldn't bother me personally. But you're giving your experience of how you would want it, and you have the knowledge to fix it. So
And we put ourselves in the place of the customer. How would
Right.
we feel if we received this instrument and
Yeah.
it had an issue? So
Your
we try to
setup's
cover
real
all this.
Great. I mean,
Yeah.
I must like it the same way that you do, which is just butter smooth. But
yeah, but even with the finish and stuff like that, I mean, like you like your
yeah.
things neat and clean. I'm kind of a messier guy in general, so I don't even pay attention to certain things that I just.
but when you get something new and you open it up, you don't want
I don't analyze
a
it.
blemish to be staring at you. You know.
Yeah.
no staring at you, but you also need to look for some of them.
Yeah. Oh, really hard.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So like certain people are not they're gonna go right past what 3 other people would be concentrating on. So
Yeah,
there's this line we have to play
I-
with because we don't know what the customers really, we don't know how many checkpoints they're gonna look for.
Yeah.
Well, it's like this. It got past the checkpoint at a manufacturer. Then it got to me, and I took pictures and listed it, and then it ends up getting to Billy or Joel. And here's a common scenario: Billy or Joel will walk
Billy Joel.
upstairs. Billy Joel. And show me like some, like maybe it's like on the butt or just a tiny cosmetic thing. If I can see it, then you'll be getting an email with an offer for a discount and an apology, and it's like it went past so many people without ever being noticed, and it could have gone to the end customer and 90% or more would never notice. But that's what we do here. That's like, we're on your team. We're trying to go to bat for you to make sure that everything's as perfect as it can be. And if it's not up to par, or there's something that's not meant to be there by the manufacturer, then we usually just absorb that with a discount. Well, like we are often fixing things without telling, suppliers what sometimes we'll convey it if we think it can help them, but yeah, I don't know where I was going with that, but
Yeah,
Well,
but
also-
at the same time, it's people have to also realize that nothing's ever perfect. It's never ever going to be 100%.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to
Yeah.
be
well, we're not making the instruments too.
yeah. We're making them better.
We're
But even-
dealing with what we have. We're picking from hundreds of different models and brands, so everything that we're carrying is for a reason, because we think it's the
Because we
best
believe in it. Yeah.
thing in the market right now. But nobody's perfect.
Yeah, every manufacturer has their own level of fit and finish. They manufacture these instruments and sell them and ship them out, and that's the way they are. But we try to take them to the next level and cover some of the things that they don't.
Right, but it's also hard to make customers understand sometimes that this is a normal thing that you have, even though they might feel like it is a blemish or something
Yeah.
that they should get a discount for, but yet maybe 4 out of 10 will have a minor issue that's maybe cosmetic, but If we
9
can't
out of
fix it.
10 of customers we have are usually happy about, like, oh yeah, we can give you like $50 off, or we can give you this because
yeah, and
we
we're losing that money. It's not like we tell
Yeah.
whatever company to be like, oh hey, we offered this guy $50 off, can we also we're just doing that because we understand like their
I approach everything like with
dissatisfaction.
understanding. Like, I'm not trying to get every. I don't know. I don't want to be a total irritant to manufacturers, and I feel like we already kind of are more stringent with our returns. So it's like when something isn't structurally unsound, it's a tiny cosmetic thing, Yeah, we usually absorb the cost, and sometimes we'll sell it in store at a discount. And a lot of times I don't even catch it when I'm taking pictures.
Well, yeah. I mean, you're not analyzing. You're kind of just taking out. You get in the
Yeah.
zone too, and start
Yeah.
and photoing. But sometimes it takes like a close look.
No, there's a lot of lights down there, and Billy and Joel are examining it on another level.
And we're the last line before it ships out.
Yeah.
So we'll smooth those nuts. Saddles may be a bit rough, and we'll clean those up and make those a little nicer, smoother.
rough on the top or the
Yeah, and
oh.
the sides, the ends. So we just try to do a little better fit and finish than the manufacturers do. Take it to that next level.
Yeah, and there's often things to buff out on them. It's just-
Yeah, when we find a cosmetic problem that is fairly easy to fix, we'll just go ahead and fix it,
Of course, yeah.
just to make the instrument
How
look
often
better.
are you filing frets?
Every single setup that we do a fret level, crown, and polish.
Is there some where you barely need to do
Some just need a slight
skim?
skim, filing off the top of the fret and then recrown, and others we really need to take some material off to get them where they should be.
Right.
So having a high fret somewhere on a fretboard is a pretty common thing for most
That's pretty common.
import line.
Yeah, unlevel frets. Most manufacturers don't go to that level of dressing the frets. Some manufacturers don't dress them at all. They just install the fret, and that's it.
But what kind of problems happen from a high fret?
A high fret, if the action is very high, it's not going to be an issue. But when you lower the action to improve playability, you're bringing that string closer to that high fret, and you will pick up a buzz.
So the crowns are all the same height, right? But obviously, as you're hammering them into wood, if you hit it harder, it sinks in more. It's lighter, so there's
Mhm.
different depths. Unless you're magically perfect at that, I would think you would always have to level them at the end. But I mean, I know a lot of people don't.
We also see intonation problems, so we will actually recompensate their compensated saddle to improve the intonation on each string.
What else?
So you check the intonation. That's like kind of one of the first things that you do as far as before you analyze the whole setup, or how do you know how many things to attack? You just start going down the line of your normal.
Well, if you want to go
checkpoints.
through the setup process, the first thing we do is we visually inspect the instrument for cosmetic blemishes. Okay. The second thing, we check the neck to see that the neck is straight, not bowed or warped or
Right.
bowed back. Third, we check the frets, and then we will do the fret level, crown, polish.
Yeah.
Check the bridge to make sure that it's glued down properly. It isn't lifting on the corners or in the back.
Well, that's another kind of common one, huh?
Yeah, that's a common problem. In manufacturing, sometimes they don't get those bridges glued down.
It'll just be like a little.
Just a little gap under the back or the corners. Some issues in the binding. They put a binding on the side of their fingerboard, and sometimes they leave gaps in that binding. And we'll go and we'll fill those in. It's a cosmetic thing. It's not structural at all.
Right.
But it just looks better if those gaps are filled in. And we usually go ahead and we take care of that.
It just seems like a lot easier to fix in manufacturing.
That's the place to do it.
Yeah, before it's fretted and stuff,
Yeah.
Anyways, there's been brands through the years that we had too many returns on, so we had to stop carrying them.
Fender.
Hey, I'm not gonna call anybody out. There's a lot of them actually. But
Gretsch.
so it's like whatever we're talking about here are like the brands that work for us, and that by far
Yeah,
the majority are.
I mean,
not
there are
written.
issues that come up, and it's not like it's something that, like, we're trying to talk stink about, but it's just things that happen. But obviously, we're still carrying them and selling them, and they're great sellers for us. But it's like if we do the comparison with cars, like certain cars have better handling, certain cars have a smoother ride, and certain but not all of them are going to always be the have all the traits.
all-around
You know, like
color, yeah.
some are gonna be a little bit weaker in certain points, but you choose the one that you like.
That's the thing that's like, if you can afford a Porsche, I mean, it'll have all of that, but then it's like,
You know, it's hard to
you're gonna
turn
be-
the Porsche really
No, 'cause
stiff.
It's sporty.
Yeah,
It's-
but I
it's
don't like
but
that.
then
As far
all
as
around-
a cruise drive, like that ain't cruising to me. If I'm like,
Oh, yeah. Super stiff suspension.
Well,
Every-
I
it's
was
the-
talking to Noah.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was talking to Noah today, and like, he was telling me he almost feels like we have spoiled people in
I mean,
a way.
that's
a
what
way,
the
yeah.
setup
Because-
is, though, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
we are.
It's like the level that he's handing things over at is like, there's a reason why things are expensive, and like what we're kind of trying to do is make everything on that level. I mean, that is, but it's,
But Billy, how much would you charge for a setup if you were just working by yourself?
Well, what we do here at the ukulele site, we do a setup and we do a level crown and polish on the frets, and that's a $200 value
I mean,
that we
fretwork
provide the
itself is
customer.
like $80, huh? And then-
So I mean, definitely when you look at that, that's definitely getting spoiled if it's free.
$200 on a
Yeah.
$200 guitar,
You get $200.
ukulele a lot of time.
You get
Everyone gets
$200.
$200.
Well, if like in a repair business, that's exactly right. I mean, even back when I worked for Kitakis Stringed Instrument Repair, a fret dress was $75, and that was 15 years ago. So I don't know what they're charging now, but that's, and what he's talking about is even more extensive. So yeah, I would say a good couple $100 worth of work wouldn't be for somebody that's got the experience. I mean, it's definitely not a great deal at $200, but it's a fair price for a professional doing the job. It's something that we give for free.
I mean, that's
For
why you
now,
have to wait
I mean-
2 weeks sometimes, just because it's that intense.
I gotta say, Billy, props to you and the team there, because I rarely have been seeing any issues come through, because we have some of the pickiest customers in the world. But and I mean, people can be as picky as they want. This is like musical instruments, it's your right to. But he got an SMHTEC, and he sent me a video, and it does sound like the preamp. And that's something that, like, we for a long time were like taking apart the preamps and gluing like certain pieces inside because with certain frequencies it can cause something to rattle in that preamp, but I don't know why I thought it, just because in store it's like, well, almost all of them do that.
Yeah.
But it's like we fix them, but I'm not sure why that one didn't get caught, and maybe.
Well, because sometimes it can happen even after the fact. It
Yeah,
doesn't always happen.
Exactly.
right
So I
here.
don't know what happened in shipping. Things get jostled around, and maybe something came a little bit loose inside that wasn't before.
Yeah.
But I mean, with something like that, we apologize and offer to either send a preamp for them to replace it and some money for their time, or we get it back and we make it right.
Yeah, for sure. And it's a funny thing, because I just thought of my first experience with a rattling pickup was my first Taylor guitar. It was a 314 CE, and it was with the new Expression system, or new back then, but it was the Expression system pickup, and that one has 2 AA batteries that from the jack, right? And it's just like this little tube with 2 AA batteries in there. And that's how you got to get like a quarter, right? And then twist it and the batteries come out.
Right.
And it was working fine for me. Like, I was playing it, I was using it live. And then maybe a month later, I started there's this weird buzz, like rattle.
Yeah.
I couldn't figure it out. It was bothering me so much, because like I hear it every time. And this is before I knew anything about a setup or whatever. But I took it back to Island Guitars, where I bought it from. And they knew right away it was a battery.
Rattling.
Yeah, rattling.
Yeah. We fixed that problem at Taylor. We put a Post-it around it.
That's exactly that's what I was getting. Oh, you ruined my punchline. but that's exactly as soon as I went back there, they put the Post-it around the two batteries, put it back in, and it created a seal. It was a tighter fit.
Exactly.
And that's all it was just the fit was just a little bit.
And we tested batteries from many manufacturers, and there's a difference in every one.
I was going to say
they're not all exactly the same size.
So we were the Taylor Gold Warranty Repair Center at the time they came out with that, and there was a lot of problems.
Yeah.
With the expressions and stuff.
But the thing was amazing. I loved it, and I love the sound of the pickup as well. But it's just funny that certain components you're just going to end up having to battle because it's not a perfect thing. It's
exactly nothing is ever perfect.
There's a lot of
variables
parts inside,
especially external preamps with the EQ.
Oh yeah,
that's a plastic box, and you have sliders and you have volume controls, and all those little parts can rattle.
All right, I remember Chris Murray just battling some old Fenders back then. Like he spent 2 hours, and Andrew would be like, "Come on, man, we gotta move on," and he'll grab another one. It's the same thing.
Gotta be fixed.
Yeah, we've dwindled the onboard preamp models down to only a few because they all have that issue. I mean, there isn't any that we haven't had problems with.
Right.
But they're so much more affordable, and
and it doesn't mean it's broken.
See, that's the concept. I think
some people are they see it, they're like, "Oh, I gotta return it right away." Like, no, you don't.
Yeah, it's not broken, but you can fix it, but it takes a repair guy, someone who's been around the game, that he understands all the components
just like
and
the
concepts.
guys at Guitars, and they're like, we just have to put the Post-it on the battery.
And I was kind of at first, being a new customer towards an instrument with a pickup, I was like, oh, really? Are you sure it's not broken? You're gonna have to replace it? No, that's just how it is. Yeah. And I was like, okay, and it's
especially
just how it is.
Especially if you spent a lot of money on something.
Yeah.
Especially, what did the 314 CE go for?
It was 1300 or something like that. Yeah, but it's a trip. I mean, there's always things that can go wrong.
Yeah.
I just spilled water on my
cylinder. And it doesn't matter,
you're broken, bro. Broken. You should go return yourself.
I gotta go see a doctor.
What
set me out.
Types of or what gets to you? What really irritates you, Billy? About
wild woman.
3 hours later.
Ripping in the tearing.
Yeah. We won't go there.
Okay. What irritates me about what?
This job.
How much time do we have? No, I was kidding.
Exactly what I said. 3 hours later.
No, within the setup, I guess.
Within the setup. What irritates me is very simple things that could have been corrected in the manufacturing process.
Like sharp nuts.
Gap in the binding. Just simple things that could have been caught in the manufacturing process and in the quality control.
I think we're just, overall, we're trying to get through to our customers the concept of, even if you watch the setup video and you see it as well, but I guess it's just kind of more of an understanding of exactly what your instrument kind of goes through before it gets to you.
Yeah.
The thing isn't should you get a instrument from somebody who does setups or not. It's what is their level of expertise? I mean, I don't want somebody working on my instrument at all if they haven't had the proper experience. I mean, I came to this business after doing all the finishing and setup at Kolau for 10 years. So it's I kind of know what's going on in that realm. And I know that Billy and Joel are amazing at that job, so.
And also, beyond that, every single player is different, right? I mean, Kalei is going to play different than someone who's just starting out, and someone who's maybe has hand issues, and there's all of these things that the end user might have a different
Need.
different need
Yeah.
for our setup. So that's why we have this thing with the special instructions. I have arthritis in my hands. I can't play.
Some
too
people
hard.
want a little higher action. They want a
Yeah.
little more volume out of their instrument.
Exactly.
Other
Told you, it was
people,
like, I need
they
3
have
millimeters
hand issues. They want the action lower, so it's easier for
I
them.
spit on the mic.
Right, so it's a really, kind of like a fine tuning, because it's actually a personal, like you're basically, you should be telling what the setup is. But as far as if you're not gonna tell us, we're just gonna give it to an average of like, hey, 2.5 to 3 is kind of like a good spot to be at, because over 3 we know it's really kind of hard to play, and under 2.5 is like there's a chance of buzzing. But
Exactly.
if you say that I don't play hard at all, like, okay, now we know that we have the freedom to just bring it down a little bit lower. They're not going to play hard. Or like, oh, I'm a heavy hander. Some guys are like, I really dig in. All right, more towards 3 is where you're going to be.
you need a higher action to let
Right.
those strings move.
So I mean, and that's what's hard as well, because like, yeah, if you're just from a company who's just making a bunch, they're not going to know all that as well. So they probably be like, well, this is, I don't know, it's
Yeah,
good
which is
enough.
understandable. They every company I've ever known sends it a little bit on the higher side than it needs to be to give them that room. And also, Billy and Joel, we didn't talk about this, but you guys even factor in where the instrument is going, right?
Yes, it's the climate where that instrument will be living.
In very dry areas, you got to be careful. If you take it right there to perfection, then give it a month in its new environment and it'll be buzzing. So even with humidifying, it usually dries out a little bit in those type of areas.
Yeah, we'll look at where this instrument's going. This instrument's going to Arizona. Okay, we know it's dry there.
Right. Along with the special instructions, it's a highly personal thing. And
Right.
for a lot of people, they're not sure yet exactly, but there's a lot of people that we deal with too that are seasoned players, and they have a good idea of what they want.
And I guess the maybe the downside to too much of it, as far as like, with us spoiling, but with people being able to read a bunch of forums and seeing other people's likes and needs, sometimes they just start thinking, oh, that's should be mine too.
Yeah.
So like then now it's kind of unfair to the player to be like, oh, I need this, and that. But like, wait, why do you need it? Have you figured it out that you need it, or you just saw someone else, have it that low,
Also, can that instrument accommodate what they're asking for?
Right.
Right.
Every instrument is an individual, and some could be taken lower than others.
Yeah. If the pitch of the neck or the curvature is not going to let you get 2.3 action, then you need to go up to where you can, even if people are playing lighter, there's going to be that zone. I should mention too, it's very, very common that Kalei or Corey, when they're sampling an instrument because they haven't been set up yet, there's buzzes, and so they play around that. Like good players know where to be gentle and what they can get away with on that certain instrument. Now, after it goes through setup, they'll have more dynamic room, but talk about that, guys. I mean, as far as like how the player factors into like, the whole equation.
It makes a big difference. Like as far as like getting what you need if you're a player, if you like to play hard, like to play soft, but it also makes it easier for the player when everything on the instrument is functioning properly and intonation's good, there's no buzzing, you're not cutting up your fingers.
Yeah, it should never be a struggle. Playing any kind of musical
Yeah.
instrument should be fun. It should be enjoyable.
Because like when it is buzzing without it being set up, it's really hard to enjoy the instrument no matter how great it sounds, because
Sometimes we have to just say, okay, we can't we can't
sometimes
sample it. We have to work on it first.
because it needs a setup. But then there are times where me and Corey have to compensate how we play to
If it's okay, it's not too bad.
and most
yeah.
times it's not too bad. But like
And-
say intonation's off, you gotta kind of bend the string at that certain spot.
Yeah, or just not play in a key that doesn't hit that note.
Yeah, sometimes I'll be like,
Buzzes,
Corey, that might be a little ambitious for this instrument.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, just-
intonate.
Nah, I don't want to shit on anybody. I really
Yeah.
don't.
No, not at all.
Yeah, I mean that's not our goal. I mean, other than just Fender and Oscar's shit, but no, but I'm saying
They're
like
big corporations.
no,
at least.
yeah. But,
And Baluna.
but from our experiences, it's like we're not trying to like directly cut it down, but it's just like we have issues that come up a lot with certain ones, and it's just it becomes a little bit irritating in certain ways when it's we got to go do this again.
Yeah.
Well, we've stopped carrying a lot of the ones, you know. Originally, I was gonna try to carry like a lot more just for variety, you know. It's like early on when I was kind of ramping up, and then
Just like we love ukuleles and
just wasn't working
sharing
because
stuff that we.
it's like when setup guys have to go through 5 instruments to
Yeah.
get one that's gonna work. It's just such a money suck. It's,
And then when we bring up the issues to the manufacturers themselves and tell them like, hey, you know, like we like how your instrument sounds, we like how they look, but these are some issues that would make it even better, and so we can sell it and help you. And sometimes people just don't want to take our advice.
And they're like, God, we'll send you another box.
Or they
Okay.
just don't have time, you know, because
Open
it
your
does take
box.
time and money to
Open
make an
it up.
adjustment like that for a whole line of
Same issue.
instruments.
yeah, we work with people, you know. Noah was telling me that he thought like, you know, I seemed angry at the Kala guys when we talked to them, and I totally didn't feel that way. I was just talking, you know, business and raising some things, you know, that I had a small issue with, but nothing like major or anything like that. But it's like when they were starting their elite line, I had pages and even consulted with Noah on changes for them, so, you know, and then they know though, they're like one of the companies that like they came back with like a whole, you know, PowerPoint on their plan to implement those changes and stuff, and it was like it was nice to see them, you know, doing that. And they ended up going in different directions since then and stuff like that, but also, you know, when Dave came over, like I showed him exactly my video and my photo process, and I will do that with anybody that wants to know like exactly what I'm doing. I'll show them. And with any of the manufacturers that are open, a lot of times there's like some ego involved, so I don't want to be like that, but I like how Kala from the beginning was open about things and respected me on that level, which is, you know, why I guess I feel comfortable talking to them the way that I did too. But like, you know, like the Kamakas and the Okamis and the Suzas, like I have such respect for them and what they're doing that I kind of like walk on eggshells about things in a way, just out of respect, you know. But hopefully the things that we discussed here don't, you know, irritate them in any way. I don't know. I mean, just trying to be real about what we're doing, and I guess I know the value that we give to the community, and typically I'm not just trying to like toot that horn, but then, you know, we have 100 times more competition than we did 5 years ago, so I feel like once in a while we do have to kind of be open about what we're doing and why we're of benefit to the community.
Yeah, I mean, bottom line, every single instrument that gets set up, which is basically all of them, we're just trying to make it better. That's it. And then, you know, with that comes all of this, like, you know, over years and years, you know, you just learn certain things that some are better than, and, you know, but it's not like you're trying to like dog on
Oh,
anyone.
not bash. It's not. It wasn't meant to bash on any companies.
There hasn't been any manufacturer that I've never seen like that hasn't had an issue, that has a perfect track record of, you know, never having a problem.
One of the
McPherson.
things,
McPherson guitars
McPherson.
for you.
They are my favorite guitar, and I am yet
carried
to find
McPherson,
to
yeah.
find a flaw on any.
Yeah, I don't know. You remember when we carried McPherson's?
Oh yeah, I used to play them every other day.
Oh,
Yeah.
remember that?
That
the
all coal
Australian
one.
black
Oh.
wood? Or their coal one with the
Can't
spruce
say that
top?
I've seen. I never experienced a problem with them either.
Ever. And
McPherson
Tom
is
Anderson.
like the
we
You
carried,
know, they used to
They're
come.
like
It's
the-
like
Anderson.
right,
Yeah.
right from how they came.
Lamborghinis,
Like they were comfortable, but you could dig in almost harder than any other guitar and not buzz. Like the level of dynamic range before it crapped out was amazing.
And then that's why they were like $8,000, $10,000.
Mm-hmm.
but their fingerboards were very accurate, and their fretwork was impeccable.
They're really smart.
Yeah.
What was he into? He was into like bow making or
Yeah,
something.
he
like-
started out making hunting bows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then now he makes guitars.
Every year at NAMM, I tell them to make ukes, but
I
hasn't
would love
happened
to
yet.
try out a
Ooh.
McPherson.
I said that
Yeah.
today.
Ukulele.
Yeah.
I said I wish that
Shake up the
McPherson would make
ukulele world.
ukes.
I've been
Oh, yeah,
waiting
with their-
for one
with
for
their
like
signature
7
sound hole.
years.
Oh, yeah.
They've talked about it within their, but yeah, they take everything they do so seriously that they
Watch tomorrow.
you know,
I'm just going to get
machine
an
up it.
email from McPherson. Hey, guess what, Andrew? We got some ukuleles for you.
I would love that.
Bam.
We'll take them all.
Get me all of my
Yeah.
They use like a carbon fiber neck or like
The
was it
graphite
carbon fiber
rods
in the
and the-
neck, or is that a common thing?
Yeah.
Instrument building having the carbon fiber.
Inside the neck, yeah.
I just remember
Lightweight
reading
stability.
There's one thing I wanted to bring up too, is like if you're a customer and you buy an instrument, you know, regardless of how much it costs, where it was made by, or who it was made by, where it was made, there's always a chance down the road that you will have some minor issues with it, whether if it's made in China or even, you know, made in the U.S. can cost
Even a
thousands and
custom
thousands of
Kamaka?
dollars. Even a custom, yeah. Like me, Jake, Taimani, Andrew Molina, Chris Fuchigami, we bring our instruments in all the time, you know, and even when we received it, it was perfect, but nothing like an instrument. The wood is always moving. You know, necks can warp, can bend forward, backwards, frets pop out. That's just normal.
It's not a one-time thing.
It's not a one-time thing. Even if we set up an instrument, down the road you might need to get it set up again because
Yeah.
that's just wood. Wood moves, you know, and
It's a
it's
living,
one of the
breathing,
things that like I always explain to
material.
our customers in the store. It's like, yeah, make sure you humidify it, but just remember that it's not going to stay perfect forever because the wood is constantly
Yeah.
moving.
It's
It'd
affected
be a
by
good name for
temperature,
your album.
humidity.
Wood moves.
Oh, that's really
That's
deep.
so deep.
That's super deep.
But I just wanted like to say that because I think people should know that. So, you know, just because like there's minor issues happening, nothing's wrong with the instrument.
Yeah, great point, Kalei. Because it's it's something that especially it depends on each instrument, your environment, the amount you're playing.
I mean,
If you're traveling like you guys do, there's no instrument that doesn't
No
need to
way,
get
it's
serviced.
impossible unless you
Ta-da.
get like something that's made out of that's not made out of wood. You know, like a carbon
Carbon
fiber.
fiber, yeah.
the future is equal.
Yeah.
But
Mike
even
Love
like a-
ruins every instrument he tours with.
Just punches
That's
holes
because he
through 'em.
abuses.
It's like if you do it right, it's gonna need some work.
I've had my.
Yeah, and he's come in a bunch of times to get his stuff worked on, right? He's always had
Oh
his,
yeah, every time he gets back from tour.
But I had even a Kalei that developed a buzziness on the 12th fret, but I never ever thought like, oh, this thing's broken. You know, it's just
Yeah,
I
just
mean, I've
wouldn't
traveled.
ask
Get it
for
worked
your
on,
money
yeah.
back.
yeah, and I did get it worked on, and it was fine.
It's like our bodies. Like if you're in shape, 1 month, 5 months from now, you could be totally not in shape.
Yeah.
yeah.
What'd you do to it? You know. I know. I
Hey,
hate that
Billy,
feeling.
I'm curious, like from the places you've worked, what you enjoyed the most? I mean, besides the ukulele side, of course.
Actually, I really enjoyed working artist relations when I worked at Paul Reed Smith.
Oh, artist
Because-
relations. That
But you
sounds
get
like
to
a
meet
party.
some-
Because I got to meet so many great artists.
You met
Some were my
everyone.
heroes, and
Oh,
some I
hookers and
couldn't
blow.
stand.
What was that, the 80s?
But yeah, that was my favorite part of working in the
Yeah,
music,
that does sound
music
really fun.
industry.
Man, PRS guitars are gorgeous. You know,
Yeah.
they use some of the nicest woods, and then they'll stain them in the different colors to just make that maple pop.
Yeah, they look like candy.
Yeah.
You ever see
I
Tommy
always-
Manuel's custom PRS
Uh-uh.
acoustic? Oh my goodness.
I thought he played a Mighton.
Oh, he did, but PRS, I think, I don't know if he ordered it or they just made one for him.
Mm.
But
Do you guys like the look of the headstocks? The PRS headstocks?
I don't mind. I think it's a cool.
I like the bodies. I never liked the headstock.
On the electrics or the acoustics?
Electrics.
Oh, I do.
You
I
like it?
always I always thought the whole design kind of had like a
That's something.
a cool.
kind of goes.
I like the bodies a
Flow.
lot, but when it got
Yeah,
to the
it's
headstock,
not
it
too
looked,
much.
it looked like it was
it's
like too
different.
small or something. I don't know. It was just I don't know,
Yeah, I think Gibson got everybody used to that.
like wider or fatter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
they-
it's more efficient for the string to run through straight than that curve it takes on the Gibsons. A lot of times that'll cause binding and harder to get in tune. Or so there's a reason.
Well, if there's a reason, then I'm all for it. But if it's just looks, then I'll be like, bah.
And it's interesting like that though, because it's like when it comes to like shapes, like why people don't. It's like what our concepts in our mind of what things should look like, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I think it's an attractive design. So, what was it like working at Taylor?
Taylor, very, very structured.
As in strict?
Yeah, everything was very structured. But they put out such a clean product because they're so strict.
Yeah. Is that
And they're-
coming down from Bob, or he's just got a team of managers that just?
No, it's coming down from Bob.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I have a lot of respect for what he's built. You know, he was building guitars and then putting them in his van and going up and down the West Coast to sell them to stores early on. It was
Yeah.
like, and now, and you know, I mean, to be able to kind of like he even, I remember back in the day, he invited Martin over to like, you know, review his factory process. Like he didn't have any, you know, secrecy about it or anything like that, but through him it's like I even see a lot of these companies in Asia that are getting highly automated and stuff, just in terms of the technology that he was pioneering, the robot arms doing finishing now and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I remember when we were carrying the line, like the ones that they make in Mexico, some of those ones are just a great instrument for like $400 or $500 or so, you know.
No bracing on the back. It's a curved back.
Oh, right, yeah.
That gives it structure.
Somebody was asking me the other day why they're not making ukes. You know, they did that line with Andy Summers. I don't think he still works for them, but he did before, and he developed the uke. And I don't know. We had to repair one of them that
I
we
remember
saw.
that alcohol, yeah.
It was just built too lightly, but
They were kind of similar to a ukulele.
What was it for? What ukulele?
Taylor ukulele.
Oh, the
but I
Sunburst one.
No, was it like an all coal one, the one that we had to
Which one?
fix?
Oh, I mean, they had that package or that combo, right?
Ooh,
The
like
guitar
$8,000.
and the ukulele and guitar.
it was
That
silly
ukulele
to sell
was-
as a package, I think.
They would have done better if they just sold the ukulele by itself.
Yeah, that was one of the best
Well,
ukuleles
I
ever.
think they
but-
decided to not move
Go
it
into
to
the ukulele,
manufacturing because the bottom line is it's not much cost difference building an ukulele compared to building a guitar.
That's a hard
The
concept
same
for some
work is
people
going
to
into
It's
it,
the
right?
same,
understand. yeah.
basically the same work. The
It might be
material
smaller,
cost
but
is
yeah.
a tiny bit less,
Yeah.
but
It's
You
still the
can't even
same
put your
work.
hand in a hole.
Yeah.
yeah, if you're making something in America, the bulk of your costs are going to come from
Manufacturing.
Labor.
labor. Yeah, your labor costs. So it's not much different in that regard, and people look at it differently. Like it should cost less. Like
Right, they're like, wait, this thing is tiny compared to a guitar. It's like, well,
Yeah, they're-
guess what?
tailored guitar customers would probably be like, "What the heck? It's a $4,000 uke." It's like, well, yeah, you spent $4,000 on your Taylor guitar. Why,
You're
you know?
paying for the same quality, the same amount of time.
But I think the ukulele market and world is kind of changing in that way too. We see on our end, we have customers that take it as seriously as you can take anything.
Oh, yeah. Big time.
So maybe Taylor will get back into it.
I kind of feel
I
like.
kind of wish they would.
Oh, I wish they would too, because like I kind of feel like the reason why they stopped making the ukulele is maybe because they didn't really have anyone that could move it.
I know they have a
Like
good
we do.
relationship with
Yeah,
Joe too.
yeah.
You know,
True,
like
yeah.
Bob kind of taught Joe the process for their UV cured finish, and they've shared Koa wood suppliers a lot and stuff like that. So I don't know if any of that comes from Bob not wanting to step on Joe's toes, because from what I've seen too, Bob made a comment in like Acoustic Journal or one of those magazines. I was reading this like a year ago or so, when he was saying when they asked him if he was gonna make ukuleles again, he's said, "Not right now, but I can tell you my buddy Joe over at Kalei is making some great ones," so I think he recognizes that Kalei has kind of filled that role, and Kalei is really, I mean, they've got automatic side benders now. They're stepping into more CNC work and more automated, for consistency and just
Yeah, I mean.
So what? The future is all robot made ukulele or what?
not all.
I mean, if
Not
it's
all,
mass
but
produced, it's gonna be like
A lot, as
automobiles,
much as
right?
they possibly can.
Yeah.
No, but what part is the kana?
They're, well, I think in wood selection
Mm-hmm.
and in a lot of the final work setup.
Nah, just imagine like X-ray, or like they could test, like the robot could test the density and whatnot. Like,
Those are
Yeah,
the same,
well,
the same
if you're
robots
gonna
that
go
are
there
get-
eventually,
that's
I
what I'm saying. The
guess, yeah.
future, like down the line, like it's probably can get there, right? I mean,
It's the same-
Theoretically, the robots can grow the trees and harvest the trees and
At that point, it's like
Right, yeah.
that's when the robots are gonna
Take
have,
over.
they're gonna be aware. They're gonna have.
That's
they're
when
gonna
they're
have a
gonna be like,
consciousness, and they're gonna.
why are humans still here? They ruin everything.
but then at that
I
point,
want-
if the robots still are messing up, like, is it gonna have robots set up?
the robots will be
to
playing
fix
them.
the other robots.
You're right. I'm gonna have
Your
like
robot not working? We're gonna set it up for you.
no, that one doesn't need to be on. I'm gonna have the Corey robot sampling them, so that we
It's
get
gonna
we
be
get a
perfect all the time.
perfect. It's like, how can we compare? Well,
You
It's
just have
like-
to
it's like on,
upload songs. All right, you can play this one.
it's like the piano player.
Oh,
on
when I first saw
Westworld.
that in the mall as a kid, like my parents like got me and they're like, "It's a ghost," and I was like, "It is a ghost. Someone's playing the piano." The thing would just
Keys
be
moving,
like
yeah.
freaked me out as a kid, and then I learned it's just electronic. I'm like,
Same thing for me with Santa
Got
Claus.
me.
They're like, you know what, Santa Claus?
hey,
It's not real. I was
Hey,
like,
hey. Shh, we have kids that watch this.
Spoiler alert.
yeah, I'm a kid. Oh,
let's close this out with another.
Wait! I gotta tell you.
Yeah.
You know, you can tune a piano.
Oh,
You can tune
boy.
an ukulele.
Mhm.
You can tune a guitar,
Mhm.
but you can't tune a fish.
But do.
Can you tune a salmon?
What the?
That's where it ends, right there. The podcast ends.
Thanks, Billy.
Thank you.